You are not defeated by the mountain. You're defeated by the voice that says you can't climb it. The greatest war is not fought in battlefields, but between your ears. If you educate your mind, even your worst enemy becomes your greatest teacher. Right now, your mind is either your prison or your passport. The choice begins with what you feed it. A mind that is not trained becomes a magnet for chaos. It doesn't matter how strong your body is or how wealthy your environment looks. If your mind is weak, you'll sabotage your own success before anyone else ever gets the chance. Education isn't about information, it's about transformation. You don't need more facts, you need the wisdom to use what you already have. The right mental discipline can turn failure into fuel, betrayal into breakthrough, and pain into purpose. A transformed mind can walk through storms with calm and face rejection without shrinking. Educating your mind doesn't mean becoming smarter. It means becoming stronger mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. The world outside can never control a mind that is disciplined from within. You may lose people, possessions, or positions, but if your mind is trained, you'll find a way back every time. There's no enemy outside you that can hurt you more than the confusion within you. When your mind is trained, you stop reacting and start responding. You stop blaming and start building. You stop panicking and start planning. The difference to endure and those who collapse lies not in circumstances, but in how well they've trained their thoughts to serve their destiny instead of their fear. Educating the mind is like sharpening a sword daily, intentional, repetitive. It's the art of challenging your beliefs, confronting your doubts, and reshaping your perspectives. A disciplined mind refuses to be a slave to emotions. It doesn't follow feelings, it follows truth. This is how people survive heartbreak and come out stronger. This is how dreamers become leaders. This is how the broken become builders. They didn't wait for the world to change, they educated their minds until they became the change. You must begin to ask, what am I allowing into my mental space? What conversations am I feeding on? What thoughts am I rehearsing in the silence? Because whatever you entertain repeatedly becomes your belief system, and your beliefs decide your battles. A defeated mind cannot produce a victorious life, and a lazy mind will always make excuses. But a trained mind turns excuses into strategies and setbacks into staircases. You don't need better circumstances. You need a better mental foundation to stand in them. Every problem in life either makes you bitter or better, and your mindset decides which. Education of the mind isn't about acquiring more, it's about learning how to let go of lies, replace them with truth, and act from clarity. When you educate your mind, you become dangerous to fear, unstoppable by failure, and unshaken by delay. The storms may still come, but the storm inside you is gone. That's the difference. There will always be people who doubt you, betray you, or try to control you. But once you've educated your mind, their words can't own you. Their behavior doesn't direct you. You stop asking for permission to live. You stop needing approval to act. And you stop measuring your worth by how others treat you. A trained mind. You are not what they say you are, what you believe, speak, and live. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is a mental decision. You can be hurting and hopeful. You can be misunderstood and still magnificent. But only if your mind is trained to rise above the noise. When your thoughts are aligned with purpose, your path becomes clearer and your spirit becomes unbreakable. You start walking differently, not with arrogance, but with quiet authority. You know who you are and nothing from the outside can rewrite it. When your mind is educated, you don't chase opportunities find you. Peace surrounds you. Wisdom flows through you. And even in the valley, you know you're still climbing. You become a voice of clarity in confusion, a force of calm in the chaos, and a lighthouse for others still trapped in mental darkness. You don't need a crown on your head because your thoughts are already royal. Start now. Teach your mind to speak life. Discipline your thoughts to follow truth. Practice silence. Practice stillness. Practice focus. This is how you master storms before they arrive. This is how you defeat giants before they roar. This is how you overcome anything, by educating the one place the enemy can't touch unless you let him, your mind. And when that transformation happens, even the impossible begins to obey you. The battlefield isn't your environment, it's your thoughts. Every day you're in a silent war between the voice of progress and the whispers of fear. No enemy outside can defeat you unless the enemy inside you has been entertained. The mind is not neutral. It's always leaning toward defeat or dominion. If you don't lead your thoughts will lead you into confusion. Every limitation begins as a belief. Every victory starts with an internal shift. Overcoming obstacles isn't about brute strength, it's about having clarity in crisis. Your life follows the direction of your dominant thoughts. When you conquer the mind, the world outside no longer intimidates you. You become bold, not by chance, but by choice. The war within must be won daily with intention. Meditation, reflection, and purpose-driven thought aren't luxury, they're survival. You don't need to be perfect, you need to be focused. This is where true power begins. A mind that is never trained becomes a hostage to chaos. You can have talent, vision, and opportunity, but if your thinking is toxic, you'll sabotage your own future. Untrained thoughts are like open doors to fear. They allow insecurity to set up camp and doubt to build a throne. You'll overthink, underact, and misjudge everything if your mind lacks discipline. The difference between a prisoner and a pioneer is the quality of their thoughts. A confused mind chases approval. A clear mind creates direction. Don't wait for peace to find you. Build it in your mind first. The thoughts you repeat become the life you live. If you do not direct your mental traffic, every fear becomes a detour. You weren't born to be ruled by doubt. You were born to master it. The world doesn't break you, your thoughts do. Re-educate the way you think, and you'll reset the life you live. Chaos flees when your mind is anchored. Mental discipline is the unseen muscle that turns pressure into power. When others fall apart, the trained mind finds strategy in suffering. You don't need to escape failure, you need to extract lessons from it. Purpose is often born out of pain, and that process starts in your thinking. Pain without mental education turns into bitterness, but pain with a renewed mindset becomes fuel. The disciplined mind doesn't run from storms, it understands them. It listens, learns, and levels up through every trial. You're not stuck, you're sharpening. The trained mind isn't reactive, it's proactive. It doesn't just survive setbacks, it builds empires from them. Don't ask for a lighter load, develop a stronger mind. You can't always control life, but you can always control how your mind responds to life. That's your superpower. That's your rebirth. The mind trained through struggle becomes a well of wisdom. True education isn't memorizing data, it's rewiring perspective. Power doesn't come from knowing more, it comes from knowing what to do with what you already know. A cluttered mind drowns in information, but a trained mind extracts transformation. Learn to think beyond what you see. Learn to imagine beyond what you feel. The educated mind separates emotion from direction. It sees what others miss. It hears clarity in the midst of confusion. You can have degrees and still lack wisdom. But when your thoughts are governed by vision, you become unstoppable. Every new level of your life demands a new level of your thinking. Stop looking for answers out there when your breakthrough starts in here. The more you master your thoughts, the more you master your future. Learn, reflect, reframe. That's how inner transformation begins. It's not how much you know. It's how you apply what you know. Your emotions are real, but they don't always tell the truth. An educated mind knows the difference. It doesn't act on impulse, it acts from insight. When your mind is trained, you no longer let fear write your decisions. You gain the ability to pause, reflect, and respond with intention. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Your first feeling is not always your best guide. Sometimes what you feel is based on an old wound, not present reality. A renewed mind looks past emotion into the meaning behind it. It questions reaction and protects vision. You can be passionate without being impulsive. You can be vulnerable without being unstable. Control isn't about suppression, it's about awareness. The mind trained in response grows stronger with each challenge. And when the storm rises, you rise with it, not against it. You learn to respond as a leader, not react as a victim. Your mind is either your prison or your passport, and the keys are in your hand. If you leave your thinking unguarded, it will lead you in circles. But if you discipline it, it becomes a path to freedom. Every excuse, every fear, every limit starts as a thought. What you permit to live in your head eventually takes root in your habits. You're not waiting for a breakthrough, you're thinking your way into one or out of one. Start challenging what you've accepted. Start questioning what you've been told. The lies you believe become the limits you obey. Freedom doesn't start in your circumstances, it begins in your mindset. You must speak to your own doubts with authority. You must train your thoughts to align with your purpose. That's how prisoners become pioneers. That's how you stop surviving and start thriving. Educate your thoughts and your world will follow. If you don't rule your thoughts will rule your decisions. A person who doesn't command their thinking becomes reactive, unstable, and inconsistent. You become a puppet of emotion, a follower of impulse, a servant of fear. But once your mind is educated, you shift from follower to leader. You stop running from hard things and start facing them with wisdom. A disciplined mind creates disciplined actions, and disciplined actions create unstoppable momentum. You no longer need external validation to move forward. You become internally driven, powered by clarity. This is where true confidence is born, not in loud declarations, but in quiet certainty. Ruling your mind isn't about control, it's about alignment with truth. The trained mind becomes a compass. It knows where to go and when to pause. And when others waver, stay the course. Every thought is a seed, and your future is the fruit. The quality of your thinking becomes the soil of your life. If you sow negativity, fear, and self-doubt, don't expect to reap peace and strength. You must guard your mind like a garden. Feed it truth. Remove the weeds of insecurity. Water it daily with intention and wisdom. Over time, the harvest is inevitable. Your relationships, decisions, and progress all grow from the root of your thinking. When you focus on what's missing, you create lack. When you focus on what's possible, you unlock solutions. Your mind shapes your reality far more than your environment does. Change your thoughts, and you change your destiny. Think powerfully, and you'll walk powerfully. Think clearly, and your life gains direction. Think faithfully, and even the impossible becomes within reach. Rejection is loud, but purpose is louder in a trained mind. When your thinking is governed by destiny, opinions lose their power. You no longer shrink because of criticism. You no longer waver because of absence. The educated mind doesn't seek applause, it seeks alignment. And when you know who you are, the silence of others can't shake you. The trained mind sees rejection as redirection. It turns wounds into wisdom. You stop questioning your worth and start commanding your journey. Every setback becomes a setup for refinement. The noise doesn't penetrate when your thoughts are anchored in truth. You learn to discern between attack and assignment. Not everyone's no is a loss, it's sometimes divine protection. A renewed mind doesn't lose sleep over those who misunderstand it. It finds peace in progress. And that kind of peace, nothing can buy. Mental education is not about how fast you move, it's about how well you're aligned. You can move quickly and still be lost. Direction without clarity leads to destruction. A trained mind doesn't rush, it flows. It paces itself according to purpose, not pressure. You learn to say no to distractions that look like opportunities. You learn to pause without guilt. Wisdom often hides in silence, and growth often hides in stillness. A racing mind misses the signals of destiny. A trained mind listens, adjusts, and proceeds with boldness. Success is not speed. It's steady movement in the right direction. When your mind is focused, your feet follow. You stop wasting energy and start multiplying impact. This is not about doing more, it's about becoming more. One aligned thought can do what 100 scattered actions never will. Educate your mind to move with meaning. Even in the center of chaos, a trained mind stands still with intention. The storm outside doesn't shake the calm that's been built inside. You stop absorbing noise and instead you start projecting clarity. The world might spin with urgency, but your focus anchors you. You see obstacles as part of the terrain, not as dead ends. The disciplined mind isn't shocked by difficulty, it's prepared for it. Your peace becomes strategic, not passive. You navigate problems with perspective, not panic. In the fire, you find refinement, not ruin. You walk into pressure with poise because your thoughts are organized before your actions are needed. Confusion dies where clarity is nurtured daily. You speak fewer words but carry more authority. The chaos becomes background music, not the main sound. It no longer dictates your rhythm. The power of stillness in a trained mind is louder than a crowd. An untrained mind slowly becomes a silent enemy. What you refuse to confront begins to control you. If you avoid disciplining your thoughts today, they will become the architects of tomorrow's regret. You'll wonder why progress evades you while your thinking patterns quietly sabotage every opportunity. The undisciplined mind is easily offended, easily misled, and easily shaken. It lives in the past while fearing the future. But the trained mind reclaims the present and redefines the future. It watches what enters, filters what stays, and builds what's necessary. It rewrites negative narratives and replaces them with possibilities. You cannot rise above what you continually tolerate in your thoughts. Every breakthrough begins with mental confrontation. If you neglect mental training, your strength will only be seasonal. But with daily discipline, your growth becomes inevitable. The cost of a lazy mind is far greater than the pain of mental effort. Life won't always give you softer battles, but you can develop a stronger mindset. You're not promised comfort, but you are promised potential. Strength doesn't mean you don't feel pressure. It means you've taught your mind how to respond to it. You stop folding in the face of trials because you've rehearsed perseverance. You've built thought patterns that resist defeat and insist on growth. Strong minds don't run from resistance, they rise through it. You don't seek escape, you seek elevation. In every hardship, there's a lesson, and the trained mind finds it first. Resilience isn't born, it's built. It's the outcome of intentional thoughts spoken in dark moments. You condition your mind to see more than what's missing. You start focusing on what's forming. And when life tests you, you don't ask, why me? You say, watch me. That's the voice of a strengthened mind. When your focus is sharp, your life takes shape. A distracted mind can have potential, but it will rarely see progress. The power of attention is the birthplace of clarity. A trained mind doesn't waste energy on everything, it channels it into what matters. You become a sculptor of your own future, carving vision out of mental chaos. You stop being everywhere and finally start being effective somewhere. Focus is not a skill you find, it's a discipline you practice. You guard your attention the way a warrior guards their weapon. You learn to turn away from noise and turn inward for guidance. A focused mind sees what others overlook. It completes what others delay. It speaks less and executes more. Every day becomes an act of alignment. Your mind becomes a laser, not a lantern, concentrated, precise, and powerful. That's how clarity is forged. When your thoughts are upgraded, your limits are downgraded. The walls around you start to collapse not because the world changed, but because your perception did. Defeat can't hold a mind that refuses to agree with it. Your mind becomes a battlefield where truth fights and wins over fear. You stop surrendering to outside resistance and start reconstructing your inside resolve. A well-educated thought carries more power than 100 opinions. You stop borrowing beliefs from others and start developing convictions. You find peace and self-awareness. You speak from insight, not insecurity. What once intimidated you now inspires you. Challenges don't shrink you, they summon your trained thoughts to rise. The impossible becomes logical when your perspective matures. You walk through closed doors as if they're temporary illusions. And over time, even your silence carries authority because your mindset speaks louder than words.